So in this video, we're going to take a sheet and add a real simple form to it so our employees can submit invoices to our AP department. And then once they submit those invoices, they'll show up on our sheet. And then once something hits our sheet, we'll send an email off to our AP department that just alerts them that a new row has been added to our sheet. So I've set up this sheet in Smartsheet. It's very simple. It's name, email address, department, and then the invoice amount that they're submitting through the form. We're also going to allow them to submit a copy of their invoice, so attachments to the form as well. So once we set up the sheet, we'll come up here to Forms, click on Forms, and create a form. Once we create the form, it's pretty simple. It brings in all of the fields into our sheet that we can then choose to set certain attributes about those fields or remove certain fields if we don't want those in there. But we're going to leave all of our fields in here. And if we click on each individual field, so let's see, from the top, we can change our the title of our form. So we'll say invoice reimbursement. And then use this form to request reimbursement. Straightforward. All right, so this is the name of our submitter. So we can change, this is the name that we have on our sheet, but we can change the label to that name and just say something like your name. So it makes it a little bit more obvious to them what they're supposed to put in that field. The other thing that we can do is we can mark this field as required. We can hide certain fields. We can have validations on fields. We can display it as a single text box or as a multi-line text box. So in our sheet, when we created our fields, we told it the type of field that this column is going to be. And in this case, it's a text. So if we were to change this to something like a date or something like that, that's my primary. If we were to change this to something like date or a contact list, it's going to give us a different set of things that we can change down here at the bottom. All right, so we'll go back to your name, and we're going to set that as required because that's what we want to be required. We're going to change this to your email. And that one's also going to be required. We'll validate that it's an email address. This will be department, so this will be your department. To make it a little bit more obvious what they're supposed to enter in there. That's a required field as well. And then invoice amount. So this is going to be a number only. And that's going to be the invoice amount that they're going to use to submit into us. Now, if we wanted to allow them to bring in, add attachments to the form, we can do that here by dragging in this file upload. So I can drag this file upload down here where I want it. And instead of calling it file upload, we're going to call it upload invoices here. And then we'll give this one a little bit better description so that way they know how to use the box. So we'll say click the link below or drag and drop your invoice documents in the section below to upload them. You can come up with some better wording, but that's a good place to start. And then this, of course, is going to be a required field as well. So our invoice amount, I forgot to mark that as required, so we're going to mark that as required here. All right, so this is a pretty basic form. So once we've done with our form, we're going to click this Save button. And then from here, we can grab our share link. So that way we can email it to someone if we want. If we wanted to just grab the link itself and just email the link, from Outlook or something like that, we can do that here. And then if you want to embed it somewhere, like if you have a website you want to put this form on, you can grab the embed link as well. All right, so this link is what we're going to send out to people to let them submit their forms. We can also put this form on a dashboard in Smartsheet. If you have a really nice employee portal that you've built in Smartsheet where they have links to different forms or different information, we can put this form on there as well. All right, so we're done with our form. If we want to check out a couple more settings, we can click on the settings link here. There's a few things here that we can customize. For instance, we can allow them to receive a copy of their form submission, and we can change the thank you message that goes along with that. When they submit the form, we can also change the message here if we wanted to as well. We can choose not to show Smartsheet branding down at the bottom of the form. It just says the Smartsheet name. We can choose how our new submissions are going to end up on our sheet, if we want them to show at the top of the sheet or at the bottom of the sheet. We can choose how this form is laid out, if it's all vertical, if it's a side by side with our logo on the side, if it's plain. So there's a bunch of different things that we can modify about the form in there that you can play around with. So once I'm done with my form, I'm going to click Form to Sheet. I'm going to click my sheet name again, and it's going to dump me right back in here. So now you can see that I've got a form called Invoice Reimbursement. So I'm going to close my form. So now what I want to do is I want to send an email off to my AP team every time we receive a new form submission. So the way we do that is we go up here to Automation, and in Automation, we're going to create a workflow. We can either create a workflow from a template, or we can start from scratch. I typically start from scratch because I like to choose things as I go along. I'm not trying to read all of the different templates, but they do have templates for you to use if you want to read through some of those templates. So I'm going to name this one, and I'm going to say Alert AP when new invoice submitted. Right? So the first thing it asks me is, what's my trigger? So what is going to start this automation off? And for me, that's going to be when a row is added to my sheet. So when somebody submits the form, it's automatically going to add a row to my sheet. So once a row is added and any field changes, and I want this to run right when it's triggered, I don't want it to run on the hour, daily, or weekly. I want it to run right whenever it's triggered every single time. And I'm going to select an action. So these are all of my actions that you can read through, but the one that we want is the one right here on the top, and it's called Alert Someone. So this is a very simple alert. How the way this works is if we have it set to send to specific people, then we can define those folks' email address right here in the sheet. So I can say something like AP at my company name or something like that. For now, I'm just having it sent to myself. And then we can also customize the message. So if I click on Customize a Message, I can define the subject. So new invoice submitted. And then we can drop in any additional details that we want in the body of that email. Um, if we wanted to, we could also define the fields that come out of the columns of our sheet, and we can paste that data into this message as well. To keep this really simple, though, I'm just going to choose new invoice submitted. I'm going to give them access to the link to the sheet and all the fields in the sheet, and then that's it. So from there, I'm going to save my automation. And then we can see here that we have a new automation. And so when I go back, now my form is ready to submit to my sheet. And then when my sheet gets updated with a new row from the form, it's going to send an email off to my AP person. They're going to get inside that email, they're going to get a link, and they're also going to get a list of all the fields that were updated that they can click through, and it'll bring them straight to the sheet.